Howdy, folks. Dr. Freedom here with the Times of Dr. News from in and around the universe that may or may not make you go, oh, I feel so good. Yeah, I mean, yum, 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 yum. Yeah, I keep hearing this sound lately. It's like it sounds like sizzling eggs. Anybody else hearing it? Yeah, that's the sound of a bunch of people suddenly realizing, wait a minute, Series 11's done. What am I going to bitch about for an entire year? Well, okay. Yeah, a lot of people have been accusing me of comment trolling and shit. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just shooting from the hip. I don't script any of this. I just say what I actually feel at the time that I hit that record button. Unlike a lot of other folks who seem to be, I don't know, just sitting there, skipping around like, and it's like, I can't do edits like that. I'll occasionally cut some stuff out, to kill gaps for time, like in articles and things like that. But I don't like cutting up the monologue. I don't like cutting up my speech. I don't like cutting up my thought, because unlike a lot of other guys, I can speak paragraphs without having to go, duh. Okay. But let's get on to the news you're here to see. Let's get on to the stuff you want to know. Let's get up to the happy place called the Freedom Train, where all, well, I'm not going to say, all right, let's get rid of this. All right, and away we go. First up, now over on Cold Box, I got Doctor Who Series 11, the most compelling performances. Now, I leave it up to you. You decide who you think had the most compelling performances. But, this is who they decided really stood out for this series. So, up to you. Wham, wham, wham. Here we go. So, back to the thing. Here we go. 11 changes Doctor Who fans want when the series returns in 2020. Now, there's a whole lot of suggestions going on out there, such as fire Chibs, fire Whittaker. Oh, God. It's like, yeah. Like I'm not even going to go into this, but here you go. So just obvious little things like, we want returning characters. That I can definitely agree with. It's like, come on, why did Sarah Jane and K9, seem to be like the only exclusives so far as returning classic series characters go? And I'm not referring to the appearances over on the Sarah Jane adventures, which sadly, if it had continued, there would have been a lot more. But I want to see some stuff on the main show. So also, people are asking for arcs. People are asking for this. So, what changes do you feel they should make? And please be polite. Put them down in the comment box and hop in on us, all right? Okay, Genesis of the Daleks, how Doctor Who's darkest story changed the show forever. And this is a nice little article from over here on the, what here? Sorry, yeah, it was the Telegraph. So give this a nice little read. It was a very moving, game changer, because it literally retold the tale of the origin of that particular alien menace, because originally it was a whole different ball game as far as their creation story went, but then Terry Nation decided to do this, which added a little bit more to it, such Davros and whatnot. Doctor Who's new Dalek has one big change from the older models. It's remote controlled. There was no operator inside it, and that was the big deal. Now, a lot of people have been going, it looks feminine. I'm like, Jesus H. Jones. What do you expect? The thing rebuilt itself from junkyard scrap, parts of its original shell, as well as the fact that this was a totally new model of Dalek that's never been shown before. This was a reconnaissance Dalek. Now, there's been a lot of guys going, Dalek was supposed to be so powerful it could take over the whole world. That's not what it did. It would be sent out, find planets, assess their strategic values, assess their strategic capability, kill as many of them as possible, and then you go signal the fleet. Then that was it. Okay, Star Trek Sonequa Martin Green, she used to be on the Walking Dead, for you folks who remember that, was not surprised by the reaction to Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who casting. And this is her, their bit about her opinion on the whole thing. And a lot of people were freaking out over her character, and guess what? I still do too. But like I said, I don't watch Starship Dysentery. The second I realized it was going to be basically the Abrams universe light for TV, especially after they got rid of Fuller and brought in, one of the guys who was one of the big producers on the movies, I knew exactly, especially with the lens flares in the trailers and also Klingons that look like dicks with ears, I decided, no, I will not watch it. That's simple. Even though I've been a lifelong Trek fan. As a matter of fact, I've been a Trek fan longer than I was, into Doctor Who. So, but that's your decision. I move on. For a Doctor Who, Luther, and Inbetweeners fared on the new year. And if you scroll down a little bit, they go into a little bit right here about, different opinions on resolution. So as well as some other shows that went on during the new year. Okay, most inspirational quotes from the 13th Doctor and Friends. Like I said, this is just a nifty little post here. If you want to go run through it, check it out. All the little different sayings that came up during Series 11. Okay, ABC Doctor Who special resolution scores 394. Well, ABC's Australian Broadcast Corporation. This is for Australia Down Under. They scored 394,000 viewers. And get ready for this. The 2017 Christmas special starring then Peter Capaldi had 378,000 Metro viewers. So that's not bad. It actually did slip past Twice Upon a Time Down Under. That even sounds like the name of a really bad movie. Twice Upon a Time Down Under. Okay, so and Olivia Colman, just a cute little story right here about when, if you go down this article a bit from when she at the Baftas, she goes on about something that happened during her appearance on Doctor Who. So it was really amusing story. Just give it a quick read. All of Doctor Who's classic series is once again airing on Twitch, and I believe this started yesterday. So if you're looking, aching for some classic series action, you know where to go over on Twitch to find it, and bam, here you go. And before you go reaching for the dislike button, this fan here, this writer, is talking about stuff that's going on both sides of the fence. And I've been trying to stay neutral. I really have. But I've just been seeing some really wackadoo crap out of there. And even from both sides. I really have. There are people who walked into this series like, oh, God, it's going to be spectacular. It hadn't even seen one bit of footage yet. And there was other people who said, it's going to suck. And then, I tried to say it was a moderate success to me. Like I said, I'd give it a B minus, maybe a C plus if you add it all together. But that's me. Oh, well. It was the fans that let Doctor Who Series 11 down, not Jodie Whittaker or Chris Chibnall. If you want to read this, here it is. Remember, this is just an opinion piece, and it kind of straddles the divide, and it shows examples of weird shit that went on both sides, the people who liked it, the people who hated it, and whatnot. So it gives a little bit of fair representation. Once again, I don't care where you fall on either side of this argument. People are always entitled to their opinion. It's just when people want to go online and start rattling off things as fact, that's one of the reasons I started doing this thing to begin with. Because there was so much misinformation running around out there, it was just beyond crazy. Now, you may not have liked this series, but it scored fairly well. You're still looking at almost an 8 million average on the overall series ratings. Now, that means you're going to get a chance to come back and try to do better. So if you didn't like what you saw in Series 11, guess what? Well, I want them all gone. It's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, nobody else wants the job. It's that simple. Chibnall, I bet you that he's getting a good chunk of change we haven't even heard about yet just to take the show. So, and Whittaker, that's her thing. She auditioned, she got the job. And it's, like I said, there's doctors out there we like, and there's doctors out there we don't like. But I don't know. There's a lot of people out there dumping on Capaldi in his first series, and look at what happened by Series 10. I think he was phenomenal. Oh, well, but what can you do? Like I said, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. And you don't necessarily, you don't at the end of the day necessarily agree with how they smell. Why did I just make that analogy? I feel like a proctologist. Oh, well, good night, folks. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great night. See you on the flip side.